All right. So fast forward a couple of years, the phone rings. I pick it up. It's an art director who says, I have your dream job. I have a freelance job for you that will be the pinnacle of your career. We want you to redesign the Bible. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yes. He said, this is a new translation of the New Testament by a Greek scholar named Richmond Lattimore. And basically what we want you to do is we want you to treat we want you to treat the New Testament as a novel, as an engaging work of fiction. And I said, well, that's how I've regarded it for many years now. And they said, good. So hold that thought. So anyway, basically, I started thinking about, all right, you know, what does one do? And it became an exercise in just doing a lot of art research, which is a lot of my job, basically, is that there are certain things that I can commission. Okay, I want a hand that has six fingers on it. That's a direct, solid concept that can be carried out. There are a lot of other things that are uncommissionable, that you have to simply discover. And one of the things that I discovered was a photograph by Mr. Serrano several years later from what he called his morgue series. He was able to photograph, he got permission to hang out in a New York City morgue for a month as they brought in dead people. And I came upon this one image, which is murder victim number 5. It is a pimp who was murdered by a rival pimp or one of his clients or something. And it's quite arresting in that there's a sense of horror and serenity to it at the same time. And to me, it embodied the whole idea of being dead but also being alive, which is a major theme of the book. So I thought, I think this is right. And of course, we have our separation of type and state, as I said. So I thought this was the right thing to do, and I thought, well, all right, I will do this. I will send this in to them. They will hate it, and they will give me a kill fee, and I will be fired, and then we can all just go on with our lives. However, it turned out that Richmond Lattimore was dead, which made him very, very easy to work with. The dead authors are so compliant. They will let you do just about anything, and so he wasn't a problem, and the publisher loved it. They said, you know what, this is just so brash and fresh and brave and bold and everything. By golly, let's go with it. So I said, great. So they did, and it was a total, complete disaster. And it was all guilt by association. This was all because this was the guy who did Piss Christ. It wasn't because of this image itself, it was because he had also made the other one. No religious bookstores would take this book. None of the major chains would take it. I don't know who took it. But it won every design competition I put it into. Basically, the person who profited from this was me, as opposed to the publisher or the author's estate. And that is wrong. That's not a good scenario. What was interesting to see was what they were going to do for the paperback version. That was the hardcover version. They obviously were going to change it for the paperback, which I was not consulted on, and I don't blame them. And basically what they went with is this. I don't know how it's going to show up. But, you know, it's a very lovely, well-lit photograph of a crucifix. And this was palatable to everybody, and this has been the cover to this day, and the book had a whole second life because of it. But to me, the object lesson here is that you're still showing a human being who was being murdered by being nailed to a tree. It's just much prettier now. And that's a real lesson in form and content. The content's the same, the form has been changed. Okay. Even though I've been at this as long as I've been at this, I get things rejected all the time. People get to a point where they assume, oh, anything he does is, he just shits it out and picks it up and everybody loves it and it's brilliant and he gets anything approved that he wants to. No. I get stuff rejected all the time. This is another book by Augustine Burroughs, Humorous Takes on Christmas, called You Better Not Cry, from that stupid song. So, this should be a no-brainer. The abundance of crazy, stupid Christmas shit is quite substantial, as I think we all know. Now, what happened in concordance with this was, there was a friend of mine, a photographer named Thomas Allen, who is a brilliant photographer in Wisconsin, and he started a blog, a Christmas blog, the 12 Tawdry Days of Christmas, where he would go into his local thrift shop, which is the sort of cast-off shop, and buy the stupidest Christmas tchotchke thing that he could find, and then post it. And so I thought, all right, this is the perfect source material for this. So the first thing I tried was this dumb little figurine of this girl dressed for the winter, carrying a Christmas wreath and totally freaking out. Why, we don't know. But this invites our curiosity to pick up and read the book and find out. So I sent this to the author and he said, well, it's cute, I like it, but it's not mean enough. I'm really mean. So I went back to the photographer and I said, well, you remember that Santa Claus ceramic dish thing you had where you put the candy in his sack? I said, let's revisit that. And and he sent me this, and I said, that's interesting. I think that's better. I said, but instead of stuffing people in there, let's try firearms. And, it's much more interesting from the back. So, okay, we're starting to get there. I think this is almost there, but now let's introduce the narrative and bring back the little girl. Now we know why she's freaking out. Okay? So it's a go. So I send it off to the art director. A week goes by, I hear nothing. 2 weeks go by, I hear nothing. Week 3, nothing. Now, this is the worst possible scenario. No news is never, ever good news. When you send something and they like it, they tell you right away because they're so excited and relieved that they don't have to deal with it anymore. When you don't hear anything back, it means they don't like it and they can't figure out how to tell you, and they probably hired somebody else to do it in the meantime. Sure enough, week 4, the phone rings. This just isn't working for us here. There's been a lot of debate, chiefly among our marketing department, and they can't decide whether or not Santa is showing the little girl his penis. And I'm thinking, what? The firearms aren't enough for you. But instead, I said, do they want him to? And he said, no. No, they don't. And he said, do you want to bail or do you want to keep going? Because you'll have to start over. And I said, well, all right, I'm going to start over. I will not exceed defeat on this one. So I started thinking about other really crazy things that people do for the holidays. Especially, I don't know about here, but in New York, you see this sort of stuff. That they take their pets who have no other defenses and they decorate them for the holidays. So I start to collect these images, and nothing says let's rejoice our risen Lord by clamping a pair of bunny ears onto our cat. Right? Or turning it into a sacrificial lamb, at least in theory, or my favorite, the quack. These all seem to have the right tone to me. Of course, they're the wrong holiday. This is all Easter, of course. But I do I like the way that he looks so angry that this has happened to him. So now, okay, we've got to steer it back to and getting the right tone of I can't believe I thought you loved me and now look what you're doing. This is illegal in 4 states in the U.S. I don't know about here. This was a little too reminiscent of Dr. Seuss, although I liked it. This guy looks really upset. So I'm going to try this one, but I thought the best one by far, because Augustine actually does have a bulldog, was this. And I'd really like to believe that right after the photographer snapped the shutter and got the shot, that the dog bit his face off and ate it. Because certainly he would deserve that. So anyway, this looks perfect to me. It's mean, and there's no showing of human genitalia, at least. And so off it goes, and a week goes by, no word. Second week goes by, nothing. Third week, and I'm thinking, like, I really thought I nailed it this time. Sure enough, 4th week, you know what? Hi, thanks. We solved it in-house, so why don't you just bill us a kill fee? The animals weren't working for anybody. And then you get to see what they actually do, which is sort of amazing and heartbreaking at the same time. This is the real final cover for the book. So obviously, somebody in marketing changed their mind, and they want the Santa peanut. They want it. So, lesson learned.